In the 1960s, a secret war begins, a global battle between two superpowers using technology and science under the disguise of advancing the human race further and faster than ever before. However, to win, each side would need to ignore the past, delete known history, and forget the torment of their innocent. In the pursuit of success, the world would need to delve into the darkness. Here, in the Dark Lounge, we discuss what did happen. In 1969, mankind landed on the moon. We all remember this astounding feat, and all can name the first person to step on its surface and what he said. Indeed, Neil Armstrong has become one of the most famous people on the planet, and deserving so. However, 8 years before, on the 12th of April 1961, the Vostok 1 spacecraft was launched from Baikonur to Cosmodrome. Aboard was Yuri Gagarin, a Soviet Air Force pilot and cosmonaut. This momentous occasion was the first time a human would leave the confines of Earth and orbit the planet. In just 108 minutes, one orbit of the Earth, Gagarin would become the most famous Soviet icon since Lenin. This flight proved to the world the supremacy of the Soviet space program. The challenge was accepted by the Americans. That year, US Congress approved a huge budget to push forward with the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. NASA was now a force to be reckoned with. However, this story has a darker past. During the Second World War, the Nazis modernised at an outstanding rate, which the Allies struggled to keep up with. Tanks, ships and planes were developed along with the facilities to create and defend a nation expanding like a cancer across Europe. Factories worked non-stop and concrete flowed constantly into new mine defences below the surface. Weapons were designed, created, tested and produced far quicker than the Allies could keep up with. How could the Nazis do so much so fast? The Nazi war machine was built on the back of slave labour. People had a choice: to work until they died of exhaustion or face the concentration camps. Individuals used until they were spent and then disposed of, given no choice. As the Second World War was drawing towards an inevitable end in 1945, the Joint Intelligent Objectives Agency of the United States Armed Forces and British intelligence started to develop a secret directive. This plan would involve the recruitment of high-value German specialists in engineering, science and technical programs, and the relocation of them to America. Once there, they would work for the US government to further the advancement of their expertise for the greater good of the United States of America. On September 3rd, 1946, President Truman officially approved Operation Paperclip. With the research already completed in the background, the forced recruitment began of over 1,000 German scientists under temporary limited military custody. Wernher Von Braun was born the son of a nobleman in Germany in 1912. He excelled in school and was fascinated at a young age by rockets. Seeing their potential, he applied himself to physics and mathematics and studied mechanical engineering and chemistry. He also joined the Nazi Party in 1937. The SS also saw the potential in von Braun's work in rocket propulsion and recruited him in the spring of 1940. The combination of the Third Reich's passion to succeed and unlimited resources was too tempting. In fact, the Nazi Party had banned private research into rocket development, and only military use was deemed worthy. In September 1944, von Braun's crowning achievement, the V2, was unleashed on the Allied targets of London, Antwerp and Liège. Unstoppable devastation reigned, and Hitler himself promoted von Braun to the rank of professor for his achievement: the creation of the vengeance weapon. Over 9,000 people were killed in the V2 assaults. However, it is estimated that over 12,000 forced slave labourers died in the creation of the facilities for the testing and manufacturing of the weapons. From an early age, Hubertus Struckhold was fascinated by human biology and the emerging discipline of aviation medicine. He could clearly see that as planes developed and flew faster and higher, the stresses on the pilot grew. With the Second World War in full swing, the Luftwaffe were essential for the success of the Third Reich. Therefore, progress was fast and results expected swiftly. So tests which would normally take years were somehow completed in a fraction of the time. The SS would allow nothing to stand in their way. To achieve results quickly, illegal human experimentation was used to measure physiological responses to harsh environments. Prisoners at the Dachau concentration camp were dressed as pilots and immersed in freezing water for hours on end, timed to see how long they would survive. Others were placed in air pressure chambers. As the air pressure increased, the screams of the victims were silenced by the soundproof vacuum chamber. Their terrible pain, and ultimately their death, was noted down methodically by their uncompassionate torturers. These reports and conclusions were used by Struckhold and his colleagues at a top-secret conference in 1942. Struckhold would rise to the rank of colonel in the German Air Force. Von Braun, Struckhold, and many other key personnel from the Nazi war machine were brought to America to work at the US military base, Redstone Arsenal in Alabama. On the 24th of October 1946, the first photo from space was taken from a V2 rocket launched by US scientists. Redstone would be the key development stage for everything from surface-to-surface ballistic missiles for the Korean War to the start of the space race. Von Braun would become a pioneer of rocket and space technology in the United States. He would rise to be a director at NASA and was instrumental to the success of the moon landings. Struckhold would become known as the father of space medicine. His research into astrobiology, including physical effects of weightlessness and confinement for long periods, was key in the development of the astronaut training program. Does the progression of the human race and the human instinct for advancement deserve the forgiveness of the past? Can we judge people from the past circumstances they found themselves to be in, or do we have to face the ghosts of our past when looking at the successes of today? If through necessity the same people who had been ardent Nazis could influence major science advancements in the United States, could their influence reach the other areas of the government?